The six actors who didn't go to John Wayne's burial. On May 26, 1907, in Winteret, Iowa, Marion Robert Morrison was born. Wayne's family moved to Southern California when he was a child, although they didn't have much money. He was a good student and athlete as a young man, and he got a football scholarship to the University of Southern California. But a bad accident ended his sports career and made him think about what he wanted to do with his life. This setback eventually pushed him into the film industry, where he started working behind the scenes at Fox Film Corporation, doing odd jobs while learning the ins and outs of filmmaking. During this time, John Ford, one of the most significant people in Wayne's life, saw his promise and started to coach him. Wayne had a hard time getting started in his job for a long time. In the 1930s, he acted in a lot of low-budget movies, mostly westerns, where he honed a screen demeanor that would eventually make him famous. Wayne's big break came in 1939 with Ford's famous western Stagecoach. The film made Wayne a big star virtually overnight, going from a struggling actor to a tremendous star. As the Ringo Kid, Wayne showed a magnetic mix of toughness, sensitivity, and quiet charm that drew people in and changed what it meant to be a western hero. From that point on, nothing could stop his ascension. John Wayne starred in more than 170 movies over the next few decades, making him one of Hollywood's most dependable box office draws. Some of the most famous movies in American history came from his work with John Ford, such as My Darling Clementine, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, The Searchers, and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Wayne's performances got more complicated in these movies, especially in The Searchers, where his portrayal of Ethan Edwards showed darker, more ethically troubled sides of the frontier myth. Many people think this was one of the best performances of his career and a turning point in how Western heroes were shown on cinema. Wayne also became known for war movies that showed both his own beliefs and the attitude of the country at the time. In movies like Sands of Iwo, The Longest Day, and In Harm's Way, he was a steady, dominating figure, men who set a good example and took their responsibilities without complaining. He was nominated for his first Academy Award for his work in Sands of Iwo, which shows how emotionally deep he was in roles that are usually very stoic. Wayne was often thought of as a traditional man, yet he was very versatile throughout his career. He could be funny and self-aware in movies like McClintock, tender and thoughtful in The Shootist, and quietly romantic in a lot of westerns and adventure flicks. The Shootist, 1976. His last movie was a sad goodbye not only to Wayne, but also to a whole era of Hollywood. Wayne made the part of an old gunfighter facing death feel real by putting his own experiences into it. The movie is a profound meditation on legacy, death, and dignity because the actor who played the main character had cancer in real life. In 1970, John Wayne won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Rooster Cogburn in True Grit, which is one of his most famous roles. The character was gruff, imperfect, and unexpectedly warm-hearted, which were all aspects that people had come to love about Wayne. The Oscar was a long overdue honor for a career founded on steadiness, honesty, and a strong connection with his fans, not on trends or new ideas. The personal life of John Wayne was just as dramatic, complicated, and full of feelings as many of the famous characters he played on television, marked by fiery love affairs, rocky marriages, and a huge, close-knit family that was always a big part of who he was until the end of his life. Wayne married Josephine Alicia Science for the first time in 1933, when he was still trying to make a name for himself in Hollywood. His marriage happened at the same time as his ascent to prominence. During this time, he spent long hours on set, had money problems, and had to travel a lot for work. Even though they really cared about each other, Wayne's growing fame and the responsibilities of his job steadily tore them apart. During their 12 years of marriage, they had 4 kids: Michael, Mary Antonia, Patrick, and Melinda. Michael and Patrick went on to work in the film industry, and they all carried on the Wayne heritage in different ways. The marriage fell apart in 1945, resulting in divorce and leaving Wayne with a hard emotional chapter in his life. Wayne married Esperanza Chata Bauer in 1946. She was a beautiful Mexican actress with a fiery personality that was similar to Wayne's strong-willed attitude. Sadly, this marriage turned out to be one of the most difficult ones in his life. There were a lot of fights, jealousy, and emotional ups and downs in the marriage, which made it feel like there was always tension instead of friendship. Wayne and Barr's relationship started out as a passionate romance, but it rapidly turned into a very unpleasant marriage. After years of problems, they got divorced in 1954. The event stuck with him and made him even more sure that love and stability are hard to keep when you're famous. That same year, Wayne married Polar Pleat, a gorgeous Peruvian actress who at first made him feel peaceful and stable. Wayne's marriage lasted far longer than any of his other relationships and had 3 children: Isa, John, Ethan, and America. This made Wayne's family bigger and made him a more loving parent. The pair had a lot of pleasant times together, but Wayne's job stress, his stubborn disposition, and their different expectations eventually drove them apart. After 19 years of marriage, they split up, but they never had a divorce. They stayed close, albeit their relationship was difficult. After breaking up with Parr, Wayne found consolation and friendship in Pat Stacey, his former secretary. They fell in love and lived together for the last few years of his life. Through his decreasing health and the personal problems that come with getting older and sick, Pat stayed by his side, giving him loyalty, care, and emotional support. Wayne's contact with them, which was not typical for the time, gave him a sense of security and companionship until he died in 1979. Closing the last chapter of a life that was as exciting and brazen off-screen as it was on-screen. Hollywood lost one of its biggest and most controversial stars when John Wayne died on June 11, 1979, at the age of 72. Wayne was more than just a movie star. He was known around the world as the Duke. He stood for tough individualism, outspoken patriotism, and traditional American ideals. Family, close friends, and many others from the film business who loved his work came to his funeral at Our Lady of the Angels Church in Los Angeles. But just as important as who came were the famous people who didn't. In some situations, their absence was due to ideological differences that had been going on for decades, personal conflicts, or a strong moral opposition to the guy Wayne was. John Wayne never acted like he didn't have a side. In a contentious 1971 interview, he said, "I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are educated to a point of responsibility." This further added to his already bad reputation as a target for criticism. He also said, "I'm proud to be an American and I believe in America first." Some people fully agreed with these feelings while others entirely disagreed. It wasn't a surprise that Jane Fonda wasn't there. Fonda and Wayne had very different ideas and they were publicly hostile against each other. During the Vietnam War, Fonda spoke out against the war, while Wayne was one of Hollywood's most vociferous supporters of U.S. military engagement. Wayne famously told protesters, "They call it protest. I call it treason." Fonda subsequently remembered Wayne being quite rude to her at a party, making it apparent that they could never get back together. Going to his funeral would have gone against all she believed in. Marlon Brando was the complete opposite of how Wayne saw the world. Brando was politically progressive, very critical of American imperialism, and a supporter of Native American rights. He openly repudiated the myths that Wayne helped make famous. Brando hated how Hollywood made conquest seem like a good thing. One said that Westerns glorified genocide. Even though the two stars were both big stars at different times, they didn't appreciate each other. Brando's absence was a discreet but strong statement of principle. Paul Newman was known for his liberal activism and humanitarian work, even though he kept his political views to himself. He was against the Vietnam War, supported civil rights, and gave money to progressive causes. These are all beliefs that are very different from Wayne's open conservatism. Wayne famously made fun of liberal performers by remarking, "A lot of actors act like they're smart, but I never did." Newman didn't often get into public fights, but he stayed away from Wayne for the rest of his life, and that distance stayed even after he died. Another actor whose ideals were very different from Wayne's was Burt Lancaster. Lancaster saw Wayne as a symbol of a Hollywood philosophy he didn't like. He was smart, politically active, and publicly critical of McCarthyism and right-wing fanaticism. Lancaster thought that players should question authority, whereas Wayne thought that performers should defend it without making excuses. Their esteem for each other as craftsmen never made up for their differences in philosophy. James Garner, even though he served in the military, got disillusioned with the glorification of war and became more and more critical of strict patriotism. Later, he said that Wayne was a good actor, but not someone I agreed with. Garner didn't like how Wayne bullied people in Hollywood and how he often confused dissent with betrayal. He chose not to go to the burial because he wanted to stay independent. Harry Belafonte wasn't there because of civil rights. Belafonte, a personal friend of Martin Luther King Jr. and a lifelong campaigner, couldn't ignore Wayne's racist ideas. Wayne once observed, "I don't think we did anything wrong by taking this great country away from them." A comment about Native Americans that really upset Belafonte and many other people. Just because Wayne was famous didn't mean you had to agree with him. John Wayne finally realized that he was a polarizing figure. He commented late in life, "I don't think you should say sorry for being who you are." Those statements showed how strong he was and how alone he was. It wasn't just a social choice for the performers who didn't go to his burial. They were making a clear distinction between the man Wayne was and the America they believed in. His legacy lives on, with millions of people admiring it and just as many questioning it. The hushed seats during his funeral may be the best example of how complicated things are. Not empty because you forgot, but because you believe. On June 11, 1979, he died of stomach cancer at the UCLA Medical Center. It was a sad and heartbreaking end to his life. He died surrounded by the care of professionals, but the loss he left behind would be felt well beyond the hospital walls. His life was distinguished by dedication, resilience, and a lasting impact on those who knew him personally and professionally. Friends, coworkers, and fans who had followed his journey for years were all very sad when they heard the news of his death. They were having a hard time accepting that he was gone for good. After he died, he was buried at Pacific View Memorial Park Cemetery in Corona del Mar, which looks out over the peaceful Newport Beach coastline. The beautiful environment, with its soft coastal breezes and quiet surrounds, was a fitting place to rest, one that showed both dignity and calm after a life that had its ups and downs. Family members, intimate friends, and mourners came together to say their last goodbyes, remembering him with quiet thoughtfulness and loving recollection. His earthly journey came to an end that June day, but his legacy lived on in the hearts of those he touched, making sure that he would never be forgotten. The Playboy interview came back in February 2019, which led to requests to change the name of John Wayne Airport. Ethan, Wayne's son, defended him by saying it would be wrong to judge someone based on an interview that is being used out of context. During the George Floyd protests in June 2020, people called for the airport's name to be changed back to Orange County Airport. However, as of 2026, the name has not changed.